Give me a reason why I let you paint the sky so blue.
Hello everyone, so for today's video, the quote, I'm actually just going to read the Green New Deal, and I'm going to read it as fast as possible. Okay, resolution, recognizing the duty of the federal government to create a Green New Deal. Whereas the October 2018 report entitled Special Report on Global Warming of 1.5 degrees Celsius by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change in the November 2018 Fourth National Climate Assessment Report found that 1. Human activity is the dominant cause of observed climate change over the past century. 2. A changing climate is causing sea levels to rise and increase in wildfires, severe storms, droughts, and other extreme weather events that threaten human life, healthy communities, and critical infrastructures. 3. Global warming. Global warming at or above 2 degrees Celsius beyond pre-industrialized levels will cause A. Mass migration from the regions most affected by climate change. B. More than 5 trillion, in lost annual economic output in the United States by the year 2100. C. Wildfires that by 2050 will annually burn at least twice as much forest area in the western United States than was typically burned by wildfires in the years preceding 2019. D. A loss of more than 99% of all coral reefs on Earth. E. More than 350 million people to be exposed globally to deadly heat stress by 2050. And F. A risk of damage to 1 trillion or more, there's 12 zeros, of public infrastructure and coastal real estate in the United States. And 4, global temperatures must be kept below 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrialized levels to avoid the most severe impacts of a changing climate, which will require A. Global reductions in greenhouse gas emissions from human sources of 40 to 60% from 2010 levels by 2030, and B. Net zero global emissions by 2050. Whereas, because the United States has historically been responsible for a disproportionate amount of greenhouse gas emissions, having emitted 20% of global greenhouse gas emissions through 2014, and has a high technological capacity, the United States must be taking a leading role in reducing emissions through economic transformation. Whereas the United States is currently experiencing several related crises, one, life expectancy while declining basic needs such as clean air, clean water, healthy food, and adequate health care, housing, transportation, education are inaccessible to a significant portion of the United States population. 2, a 4-decade trend of wage stagnation, deindustrialization, and anti-labor policies has led to A. Hourly wages overall stagnating since the 1970s, but despite increased worker productivity. B. The third worst level of socioeconomic mobility in the developed world before the Great Recession. C. The erosion of the earning and bargaining power of workers in the United States. And D. Inadequate resources for public sector workers to confront the challenges of climate change at local, state, federal levels. And 3. The greatest income inequality since the 1920s, with A. The top 1% of earners accruing 91% of gains in the first few years of economic recovery after the Great Recession. B. A large racial wealth divide amounting to a difference of 20 times more wealth between the average white family and the average black family. And C. Gender earnings gap that results in women earning approximately 80% as much as men at the median. Whereas climate change, pollution, and environmental deconstruction have exacerbated systematic racial, regional, social, environmental, and economic injustices, referred to in this preamble as systematic injustices, by disproportionately affecting indigenous peoples, communities of color, migrant communities, deindustrialized communities, depopulated rural communities, the poor, low-income workers, women, the elderly, unhoused, people with disabilities, and youth, referred to in this preamble as frontline vulnerable communities. Whereas climate change constitutes a direct threat that national security of the United States, 1, by impacting the economic, environmental, and social stability of countries and communities around the world, and 2, by acting as a threat multiplier, whereas the federal government-led mobilizations during World War II and the Green New Deal created the greatest middle class that the United States have ever seen, but many members of frontline and vulnerable communities were excluded from many of the economic and societal benefits of these mobilizations, and whereas the House of Representatives recognizes that a new national social industrial and economic mobilization on a scale we have not seen since World War II and the New Deal era is a historic opportunity, 1, to create millions of good high-wage jobs in the United States, 2, to provide unprecedented levels of prosperity and economic security for all people of the United States, and 3, to counteract systematic injustices. Now, therefore, be it 1, resolved that resolved that it is the sense of the House of Representatives that 1. It is the duty of the federal government to create a Green New Deal, A. To achieve net zero greenhouse gas emissions through a fair and just transitions for all communities and workers, B. To create millions of good, high-wage jobs and ensure prosperity and economic security for all people in the United States, C. To invest in the infrastructure and industry of the United States to sustainably meet the challenges of the 21st century, D. To secure for all people of the United States for generations to come clean air and water, climate and community resiliency, healthy food, access to nature, and a sustainable environment, and E, to promote justice and equity by stopping current, preventing future, and repairing historic oppression of indigenous peoples, communities of color, migrant communities, deindustrialized communities, depopulated rural communities, the poor, low-income workers, the elderly, the unhoused, people with disabilities, and youth, referred to in this resolution as frontline and vulnerable communities. 2. The goals described in subparagraphs A through E of paragraph 1, referred to in this resolution as the Green New Deal goals, should be accomplished through a 10-year national mobilization, referred to in this resolution as the Green New Deal mobilization, that will require the following goals and projects. A. Building resiliency against climate change-related disasters, such as an extreme weather, including by leveraging and funding and providing investments for community-defined projects and strategies. B. Repairing and upgrading the infrastructure in the United States, including by eliminating pollution and greenhouse gas emissions as much as technologically feasible, by guaranteeing universal access to clean water, by reducing the risks posed by climate impacts, and by ensuring that any infrastructure bill considered by Congress addresses climate change. C. Meeting 100% of the power demand in the United States through clean, reusable, and zero-emission energy sources, including by dramatically expanding and upgrading renewable power sources, by deploying new capacity, by building or upgrading to energy-efficient, distributed, and smart power grids and ensuring affordable access to electricity, upgrading all existing buildings in the United States and building new buildings to achieve maximum energy efficiency, water efficiency, safety, affordability, comfort, and durability, including through electrification. F. Spur massive growth in clean manufacturing in the United States and removing pollution and greenhouse gas emissions from manufacturing and industry as much as technologically feasible, including by expanding renewable energy manufacturing, investing in existing manufacturing industry. G. Working collaboratively with farmers and ranchers in the United States to remove pollution and greenhouse gas emissions from the agricultural sector as much as is technologically feasible, including by supporting... Okay, honestly, if you want to finish it, you should just Google it and keep reading. It's only 14 pages, and we're on page 8. I had to drink so much coffee to do this. But I hope that you guys enjoyed, and I hope that AOC breaks the two-party system.